Well, hello there. My name is Dave Bila. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, and national topics and issues to Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views and the responsibility of those making comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its tri-co-producers. We will adhere to broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment rights of freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and events of this program without the express written consent of Larry Curly or Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the participants, and the discussion. Before opening up monetary discussions, ladies and gentlemen, I've been watching TV, sitting in front of my lazy boy, and there's something going on in Elmendorf or in Anchorage, Alaska, at Elmendorf Air Force Base. And that rekindled some memories because back in February of 2070, I was there.
1970.
I'm sorry. You're right. You must have not been in 1970.
I was born in '69.
Yeah. When I got out of the military, I flew from Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City or whatever it is. I flew directly to Elmendorf Air Force Base in the middle of winter. And the winter in Alaska.
That's in Nome, Alaska, because I flew to the same one when I came on.
Yeah.
So go right ahead.
Yeah. Well, the same time of the year. Because the winter, it's a different type of cold in Alaska. Really. It's just, one of the issues I want to bring to the attention of the public is over the last 3 years, the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission has spent over $252 million over the last 3 years on TIF district revenue. They spent over $252 million. That's all I want to say about that
subject. How did they get $252 million?
Well, their draw in 2022 to 23 was $8 million.
So it's like $25 million. $8 million.
Oh, boy, I tell you, you guys got me discombobulated. Yes, that is correct.
Wait, we started the show off before we started talking about $1.5 billion.
Well, unfortunately for
$225 million.
$225 million, yeah.
$25 million.
Unfortunately for Tony and I, he does not use calculators, adding machines. He goes back to an abacus. And trying to find an abacus in this day is really difficult.
Those little beads, the fat fingers and those little beads. Okay, well, all right. $25.2 million over the last 3 years. The Redevelopment Commission has spent. I'd like to know where it's been spent. I'd like an accounting for the last three years of this money. Maybe the state ought to have, maybe a letter should be stated to the Indiana Department of Finance and have them come down here and audit these funds.
Maybe we should ask our elected officials downstate to require an analysis and return on investment on the money that goes into a TIF district so we can see what happened to the money. Because like I said before the show started, if you look at Michigan City, and we go through some background data, but you look at Michigan City, when the casino came in about 30 years ago, we got $10 million a year, approximately. That would be $300 million. If you take that at 5% interest for 30 years, we would be, Michigan City, if they had put that money, here's Al Gore, in a lockbox, we would have had $1.5 billion in the bank. And we've missed out. Those days are gone. That money is spent. It's gone. Rightly or wrongly, money's gone. But if we would start now, which I'm going to give this to Bob, saving money, 20, 30 years comes pretty quick, folks. And we could have that money again in the bank. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, my point on this would be, what you have to look at is how that money was spent. Now, if it was spent for situations which we had to have, in other words, for the first responders, police department, fire department, EMTs, this type of thing, lifeguards, all of that is something that we have to have in Michigan City.
I don't know.
Now, if it was spent for something else, let's say superfluous, something that didn't pan out, that's a whole different management problem, and that needs to be called to people's attention. But one of the first things we could do is start with the Redevelopment Commission and their website. What are they saying on their website about what they spent the money for? And we can make a decision as to whether or not that is money that should have been spent. Same thing would happen with Blue Chip, but all of those monies that were spent are going to go through the city council, and as a result of that, we could look at and make a decision. Were they validly spent, or was this mismanaged?
Okay, I've got an answer for that. Again, my focus from this hot air from the outside coming into this cool air-conditioned studio, again, had some misfortune with my brain. Of the $25.2 million over the last 3 years, the Redevelopment Commission has in its checkbook $17 million.
So, okay, so we're looking at $8 million that they've spent.
And so that is within, in my mind,
For 3 years, they spent 1 year's of money.
yeah.
I don't agree. I mean, you say we have to have, we don't have to have it. We can get by. All this, and I 100%, the police and the fire and the teachers need money. But we can find a way, just like every business, just like every home, to get by. And what happens at the end of this, which was now, whatever, 30 years later, we've spent that money. And we're still looking for more money. So you say we have to have things, but it keeps, we have to have. It doesn't stop. And it will never stop because that's the way life is. But if we would have saved it and we had $1.5 billion in the bank, these other things we could have actually started playing. And I want to give you a segue to the data center.
No, go right ahead.
But we could start, those days are gone. We could start now in saving. That was my segue to the data center, and Bob will talk about that. But now we're talking about a wheel tax, and an excise tax, and an income tax, and all these things that we have to have because somehow we can't manage our way like a business or a home out of doing things as efficiently as possible. And we've spent, we've spent our kids, my kids, and my grandkids' future on what, I'm sure it wasn't wasted, but it was spent on things we could have got along without because we were doing fine the day before you were on council with the money we had, and then all of a sudden we just skyrocketed in the cost, and $1.5 billion is gone. It's been spent. And now all of a sudden the sky's falling chicken little. We need more money. We can't afford everything. Yes, we need to pay the police and the fire and the teachers and the administration more money. But we can't just keep doing down this road. And before I give to Bob, we heard before, we'll say again in this program, there's $100 million getting ready to be spent on bond or interest because we don't have $100 million in the sanitary district. Your sanitary fees are going to go up, and maybe rightly so. They're very cheap. They're going to go up maybe 50, maybe 100% to pay for a loan for $100 million or a bond for a new sanitary treatment facility or an update, when if we would have saved the money, we would have had the money. And if the sanitary district, again, here's how I'm going to go back to where we started. If we don't have to have this right now, our sanitary facility is not shutting down tomorrow. It will run. If you're going to raise the rates, put it into a lockbox or an account and save up until you have the money to pay for this. Instead of paying, what's the interest on $100 million at 5% or 2%? That money is gone forever. Bob.
Okay, well, first of all, most people don't really realize it, but the number one reason for government is safety. Now, if you're talking about the federal government, you're talking about incursions from both outside the United States and inside the United States. If you're talking about local government, it's the individuals, the entities, the fire department and the police department that are there to keep people safe. Now, there have been instances in which they were unable to do that. That we have to correct. Management has to overcome those problems, and they have to make sure that they do not happen in the future. Sometimes that takes money. Now, I will tell you that, in my opinion, we also probably mismanaged some of that money, and that's what really has to be corrected. Because one of the things that happens if you have money is sometimes you don't really spend it in the way you should. Now, in this day and age, the other situation that we have, because I'm going to segue into something before I get to the data center, the other situation that you have to have is education. Or as my father, who had to quit school when he was 14 and go to work because he had a family that he had to support because my grandfather had buku problems. And as a result of that, he learned over his lifetime, and he worked for well over 50 years, that the two things that are most important, education and hard work. If you spend that money on education and hard work,
Yep.
especially
Yep.
education,
Number one.
you are providing for the next generation. And I'm going to, since he let me segue, I'm going to talk about an education system that is out there for citizens of Michigan City. And I went to the conference that the mayor put on last Tuesday night, and I was hoping we'd have 25 or 30 people there. We had less than 20. We had probably about 18. Let me talk to you about this, what this is. This is called, and it's an Indiana state program that the city of Michigan City has adopted in relation to the major trade unions in Northwest Indiana. It's called an Apprenticeship Readiness Program and the Indiana Plan. Now, let me start out by telling you, if you're interested, who you should contact. I'll put this out and then I'll do it again. If you live in Michigan City, you want to contact Kyla Ward, K-I-L-A-W-A-R-T, phone call 219-873-1400, extension 2018. Now, to be eligible for this program, and I'm talking about the people who live in Michigan City, you have to have attained the age of 18 years or older, have a high school diploma, or they said a GED. I also think that there's one comparable to a GED, which is a high school education program, HSE, and I would think that would also count. You have to have a valid Indiana driver's license. You have to pass a drug test, and you have to be able to pass. Now, this is just to get to the start, a TABE test. It's a test of adult basic education. Did a little checking, and I am told that the hardest part of that is you have to be able to do math at a 9th grade level. So that's going to include
not too
some
easy.
algebra. Now, if you live in Michigan City, you want to take advantage of the situations that the mayor has put forward for Michigan City residents, and I'm going to talk about those in a couple seconds. But if you don't live in Michigan City, and you'd still like to be part of this apprenticeship program. Now, this apprenticeship program is for electricians, it's for carpenters, it's for machine operators, and I'm talking about the big types of machines that you see around here. And it's also for a number of other areas. But if you don't live in Michigan City, because the mayor set up a separate program just for Michigan City, you can contact the Northwest Indiana Area Director. His name is Emmanuel Turner, and his phone number is 219-884-4503. I'll repeat these phone numbers sometime during this program, but if you didn't get one and you want to call me, I'm going to give you my phone number. I think this is so important. 874-1535. 874-1535. Feel free to call me and we'll talk about this again. Now, what do you have to have in order to get into this program? Well, you have to be 18 years or, okay, I've already been over that. Now, in terms of the program itself, we had an electrician there who has probably 25 to 30 years of service. We had a carpenter there who has 30 plus years of service. The carpenter made the statement that I'm now retired and my retirement pay is $1,000 a month. You are talking 12 months out of the year. That is a very, very nice situation. It's also very nice in terms of the training that you receive from these unions. You're taught safety. You're also taught that you have to be able to get to work on time, properly dressed, the same type of thing we used to get in the military. And I think if you're looking for a situation that will be well paid, for instance, I'm told that if you follow through with the journeyman electrician situation, number one, you will get a 2-year diploma from Ivy Tech, even if you never attend a class. Ivy Tech has this thing rated so that you will get a 2-year degree from their school, and you can go from there. In addition to that, the pay is excellent as you move up the line, but you have to be qualified to do the kinds of work that they're going to ask you to do. And in the electrical field, this can sometimes be very dangerous. But we are encouraging anybody who has over the age of 18 and can meet the qualifications, for crying out loud, find out about this program. Now, you've got to get your application in within a couple of weeks, because they're picking people up for an orientation in a 2-week program that will take place September the 22nd and the 23rd, and then the class dates will be October the 6th through October the 17th. The orientation is 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. One more time, September 22nd, 23rd. Class dates, October 6th to 17th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you're interested, one more time, a Michigan City resident, let me give you the Michigan City contact person again. Kyla Ward, 219-873-1400, extension 2018. She's the person that can tell you all of the background information you're going to need, how you fill out your application in this kind of situation. Now, before I hand it back, and I'm willing to come back and talk about the data center, but I also want to pitch LaPorte County's agriculture type people. If you haven't seen one of these, it's Michigan City and LaPorte. It's a 2025 visitor's guide. And the neat thing to me about this is they're going to talk about all of the various areas of farm markets in LaPorte County. And you'll get a long listing of what's available in those farm markets. But in addition to that, they will also have the phone numbers of many of those farm markets. So if you're interested in a certain type of apple, or maybe a couple types of apple, call the orchard that shows it and see if those are available at this point. If you're interested in cider, you can call them and ask about that. If you're interested in green beans, you can call and ask them about that. If you're interested in muskmelon, you can call and ask them. Some of these, a couple of them, also have tours. Some of these also have you pick. So take advantage of what's going to happen this fall, and you can start it right now by looking at it and calling them up if you'd like to do this. And so I really took up a lot of time, so I'll pass it back to Tony and see if he wants to talk.
Season's just begun. The orchards are about go out. It's awesome, but you want to tell them that this, not just for Michigan City. You can, if you're on the internet, kids or students or young adults, Indiana Plan. You can look up the Indiana Plan. It'll pop right up. Make a lot of money.
Is there any personal cost
Well,
involved?
let me give one more thing. So anybody can do this, Michigan City or non-Michigan City residents, but you can start your application today, and I'll give you the email address, www.indianaplan.org. One more time, www.indianaplan.org.
I don't think there's any cost. And actually, if you join it, I think they give you some boots or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
folks.
they give you the safety equipment.
Safety equipment. But this is amazing. And these, we're not talking about $30,000, $40,000 salaries. We're talking $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 salaries with benefits, with retirement, with health care.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing what's this. And I went to college, and my kids will probably go to Ivy Tech in college too. But this is something that you're going to have a $30,000 bill after 4 years. You're going to have $100,000 in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I've been talking about for quite a long time was the MAAC Foundation, a first responder training campus. It's transforming the landscape of first responder training across Northwest Indiana. It provides free technical training in order to obtain a job for fire, police, K-9, different state-of-the-art different services that the state provides.
And I think
that you can get training. That's two entities that are looking for people.
I'm glad the administration put this on for Michigan City, but I think the days of putting something like this on and people showing up and want to go to work are long gone.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
We're going to have to call people up, talk to teachers at the high school, contact these students that might be in there, and and help them, inform them that this is available. But the days of putting something out and thinking the students are going to get off their phone, or 18-year-olds, and hey, I might want to make $100,000 a year. I'm sorry, it's just gone. You're going to have to reach out to them.
And this is why I said at the last meeting, at our last presentation, that the school city should get involved and reinitiate the industrial arts program to expose these kids what industrial arts is all about.
And through that industrial arts program, you can also tell students about this Indiana plan.
Correct.
Many of those students may not be from the city of Michigan City. They may be from some outlying areas, but this is a good time to integrate both the students from Michigan City and those that are from outside Michigan City that go to Michigan City High School or the A.K. Smith Center.
You don't know how right you were, because this, what you said, this program is what, a week?
Yeah, well, it's actually 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Now, why isn't it possible that we integrate this program into our high school and pick those students who might be interested or you think would be interested and take them out of class and put this in the class in the high school for 2 weeks?
Correct. If the youth of today don't have any exposure to the trades, to technology, and so on, how are they going to learn? Until they graduate from high school?
You integrate this to the school for 2 weeks, that there are students, and I'm saying there could be 30, there could be 50 kids, 18-year-old seniors,
Yeah.
that it's 2 weeks. Give them a classroom at the high school, bring these people in, and give them their 2 weeks. And suppose you get 10% of those people. It's better than, like I said, the days that they're going to reach out and say, hey, I'd like $100,000 job, which is sad, they're not going to, are gone. You got to go to the school and bring it to them.
Were there anyone from the educational system at that mayor's meeting? Anybody from education?
Not that I
Any
know of.
school board members?
Not that I know of.
Again, well, it's typical Michigan City. You know,
Well,
initiate a thought and not take in all of the surrounding entities that are going to make this
Not
thought
solve the problem.
Not solve the problem.
And we sit here and we talk to, but solve the problem.
Well, I will say this, maybe this says something about age, but one of those people there one of those guys there looked to be maybe 50, a little bit over. And he was very interested in the situation. So you
Well,
can
that's
always
perfect.
look to better yourself.
That's perfect for those kind of people. But
Yeah.
18-year-olds, you got to go to the high school. And maybe you don't go to just Michigan City, LaPorte, New Prairie, South Central.
Yeah.
Give them the 2 weeks.
The programs have to be initiated through the educational process as the beginning, as the foundation, to make this 1 week or 2 week program a reality.
You don't.
It's a 2 week program.
You don't.
2 week? Okay.
You know, I mean, they don't seek things out. You go to your audience.
Yeah, right.
They are a captive audience in that school.
Correct.
Go to them. And that's where the partnership
Again,
needs
just
to be.
like Kevin McGuire. Kevin McGuire, as far as technology is concerned, he's implementing.
Bring it to them.
He's bringing it to the elementary level with these 3D printers and so on. So he's basically honing the minds of these kids and exposing them to their foreseeable future.
Yes.
Well, it would be good if we had a couple of teachers who had been through a program like this that really understood it and were teaching the shop class, what I'd call shop class.
Well, if you brought it to
Yeah,
the school,
shop
those
class,
teachers
okay.
would go through the 2 week program and they'd be ready for the next generation. Every year there's a group of students.
Okay.
Every year.
Or maybe the existing teachers could take advantage of this program and then leave their initial vocation of teaching because they'll probably be making more money.
We don't want that, but that could happen.
Well,
and I want to go back to what Bob said when we started. If these teachers take it, maybe we need to find a way to pay them to be in this class where these students need the 2 weeks. Pay them extra. Hey, if you want to be a teacher, would you like to make an extra $1,000 in this 2 week program and on top of your bonus? Heck yeah.
And this dialogue right now was why I said last week that the teachers should be involved.
And they should be paid.
They should, no. Be
them a bonus.
involved in the basic program.
Okay.
Should be invited to the basic
Oh,
program.
at a minimum.
And who arranged the basic program? If not the mayor?
Well, I'm glad she reached out. but
Did she
looks like-
address all potential bases of logic to make this a
She's going to
reality?
address Michigan City. The mayor only gets paid for Michigan City. Can you understand that? That's not up to her to fix up Westville or Rolling
No,
Prairie.
but for Michigan City, you know, I think it's a great first step.
Yes.
And I will hope she would now bring this to Michigan City High School.
Yes.
Yes.
Or
Oh,
AJ
I agree.
It would be better because remember, she's Michigan City. Michigan City High School is an area high school. There's where the school board should go to her and say, will you bring this program and talk about it in the Michigan City school system?
Yeah,
That's
All of that should have been done.
That's up to the school
All of
board.
that, all of that should have been done before delegating when this program is going to be enacted.
Yeah, they should.
Somebody should have touched all bases, regardless of the irresponsible party.
I'm not going to worry about the ups and downs of the program. I want people in this program.
And we need to get to the school.
Yes.
It needs to get
Well,
to the
we
high
need
school.
to get this program underway in September and October. Then, after we got it underway, you can start with the next one. But this is
Yes.
number one
Yes.
on the agenda.
The next one should be the next month or 2 months after that in the school.
And that's all I'm saying, Bob, is you're projecting a typical Michigan City attitude. Do not address all of the ancillary
I'm
businesses.
addressing a situation that I pay taxes for.
Okay, go to the.
Data center.
Let's go to money.
I've got.
Let's go to the money. Data center money.
Let my voice recover a little bit. You guys
Okay,
can go
so-
ahead and you can pass it
Well,
back
let's go
me.
to something else, which is coming up on the 18th. There's a
Oh,
workshop,
a
a council workshop.
on the wheel tax?
And you can look this up. This is a mini quick guide that's available. I found it the other day. A mini quick. The internet's amazing, folks. AIM, Accelerated Indiana Municipalities. Put this quick guide out to, it says on there, the wheel and vehicle excise tax. I didn't realize there's two of them. There's a wheel tax and a vehicle excise tax. And the 18th, the council is going to discuss this and decide whether they want to do a wheel tax. And I think on March 14th, you can watch on Alco on YouTube, they had a.
Well,
They
let
have
me, just one
review?
thing. The wheel tax only applies to commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
So it's only one application. The vehicle excise tax applies only to passenger vehicles.
Yes.
So
So
when
there's
you
two
say
different
there's
taxes,
two,
but it's not-
you're only
it's-
going to get taxed
Yeah,
for
it's
one.
not a double pay. But
Yeah.
so the wheel tax is between $5 or $40 annually, or the excise tax, which is all our vehicles, is $7.50 or $25. Now, this is the bill, House Enrolled Act 1461, that passed. And in March, the mayor, right, kudos to her for doing it, put together a workshop and talked about this before it was approved. Lots of things changed in this. You can see a lot of strikeouts. But basically is, if they don't pass a wheel tax or excise tax, they lose out on 50% of the community crossings money for paving. Michigan City got 1.5 million, typically as a match. So Michigan City puts 1.5 million for this year, and they get 1.5 from the state. Typically, communities get $1 million. So if we don't do this, we lose out on $500,000. This wheel tax does not generate a lot of money. I think the mayor was looking at a $25 mid-range fee. Oh no, it was $25 annually. She had different things, but $25 was the max amount, and I think it was like $400,000 or $500,000 in revenue it's going to bring in. So that would match the 50% that we would lose. That we would then get another $400,000 or $500,000. So if Michigan City has $1 million in paving, we would get matched $1 million. If we don't do a tax, we have $1 million in paving. We're only going to get matched $500,000. Personally, I think we should. I always think about this nearly in everything I do. I always want to be patient. Let it flush itself out and figure out what's going on, because this bill is very convoluted. A lot of intricacy in this bill. So maybe Michigan City should pause for this year and not pass it. So I understand if I'm right or wrong. I think we have to pass this by August 31st or you don't get next year's money. That's a push. If the meeting's on the 18th and you got to have 2 readings in the council, that's a push. Because I don't think there's any more meeting after the council after the 18th until September. So there's going to be a push, and you'll have to. You could do it. You can pass the law and then say we're going to read first and second reading, third reading right now tonight. You could do that. There's lots of things in this bill beyond the tax about CCMG money or community crossings paving money. There, in this law, which I tried to read, it's I don't remember, 30 pages. I think it even tells you what speed limits have to be in urban areas. I didn't know that was in here. There's a lot in this law. So I would advise that we pause. And if you want to do something and you could get it done by the 31st, I guess do the $7.50.
Yeah.
Just do the minimum to shake out what's going to happen.
I would also say, though, that once we do that, and I think Tony's right, that's probably what we should do, is you got to watch it, because then they try to raise the taxes all the time. So But yeah, if we could do that and keep it at a minimum, that would be fine.
To see what the programs do, because also in this law, after you do this year, so in 2026 is your money. In 2027, it changes thing. They have a PASER rating, a payment approval, something, and they rate your payment. If you don't have, the law changes, so then you start getting paid per lane miles, which hurts Michigan City and helps Indianapolis and Lake County and other people who have multiple lanes in a street. We have the Boulevard, and Franklin's got 4 lanes. Everything else is 2 lanes. So we get hurt in the lane miles calculation. And if your PASER rating is not, I believe, a 5 or 6 above, you get dinged again because you haven't been using your money to keep the streets, even though we don't have that much money and everyone's struggling to pave streets, and their total index rating of their PASER streets is low because they don't have the money to spend to pave. That's another ding in this law. So there's too much in here. I would first say pause. Let's just wait a year to let everyone else figure it out. And if we pause and other communities pauses, and Indiana City now, I believe $100 million a year they dedicate to pavement, and then the governor says, wait a minute, everyone balked and says, no, we're not doing this. They're going to have to reconfigure next April, next spring, when they re-meet about what they did in here. If everyone says, all right, we're going to change a wheel tax and an excise tax to $25, they're going to be like, yeah, that was the right thing to do. We all made them raise their taxes. If you have to do something or you want to do something, I don't think Michigan City needs to, make it to $7.50.
Are there there's a wheel tax at,
One's for commercial
and
one's for like regular vehicles.
so that's if you own a truck as commercial and a car as residential, your minimum tax would be $8, or no, it would be $12.
No, it's only for like a bus or a trailer or big things.
Yeah, but
It's
if
separate.
you were a trucking company,
And you had a car and a truck, yes, you're paying for every vehicle. They say wheel tax, it's not really, it's per vehicle, it's not per wheel or axle, it's per vehicle. So there's 2 taxes, a wheel tax and a vehicle excise tax, and they're going to have to pass both of those, commercial vehicles, big vehicles, and personal vehicles. You're going to have to pass those.
so with a company of 100 vehicles and trailers and so on, that could be a tidy sum for these.
If they've got
That's
100
not business
vehicles,
friendly.
David, this is a small amount. I mean, you are talking major, huge investments. If you just go down...
But this is
Well, time
specifically
out,
for Michigan City.
I know, time out, but if you just go down to a dealer and try to buy a truck right now...
Yeah.
And then there's whole discussion about, City of LaPorte has a wheel tax, vehicle excise tax. I think it brings in about $300,000, I think. It wasn't as much as they thought. The county has to pass a tax, or they lose out on 50% of their payment money. The city has to pass a tax, or they lose out on their money. But no one understands if the county, and the mayor had it on March 14th, if the county passes a tax, does the Michigan City pass a tax at the double tax for the county and the Michigan City? Because Michigan City residents live in LaPorte County. Are they going to pay the $750 plus the $25? You can't have double taxation. So I don't know if they understand how they cut that out. And then Paul Przewinski at the thing brought up a good point that in these taxes, to administrate it, the state's taking some money too.
Well, the state owns that.
So really, we got to pass a tax, but the state wants this cut. That's why I say you're probably wise to just pause. You're pushing it too fast. Come next year, we might know more and see how this all pans out, if it does. Because this bill is very long and there's lots of things in here that need to be considered. That a PASER is a pavement surface evaluation and rating system. Something about if the PASER rating is at least a 6 and not more than 15% of the highways are in failed condition, then they have to use at least 40% of the money for pavement. If it's not a 6 and more than 50% of the highways are in failed conditions, you have to spend 50% of the money on paving. And I don't get that either. Why would we let people get a tax or funds and say you only have to spend 50% on actual pavement? That just blows my mind. Shouldn't we say 100% of the money has to go to the roads and reconstruction and fixing instead of 50%? I know there's engineering and inspection and other things, but the money's meant for pavement. And if we're only spending 50%, so if we have $1.5 million in the city this year and $1.5 million from the state, that's $3 million, and we only have to spend 50% of that on pavement, that's only 1.5 million. So we got, like you talked before, we've got engineering and inspections, and I don't know if that's what's going on, but that doesn't seem right. Let's put it in pavement. Let's put it on the ground.
It was my understanding a motor vehicle highway fund is a fund derived from the sale of gasoline. Am I to assume that the community crossing matching fund program takes away from MVH?
No, it's in addition to. There was a way that you could use your MVH funds, if you had $500,000 MVH funds that you're going to use for pavement, the state would, CGMG, Community Crossings money, would give you an additional $500,000. But there's lots of things that go on the road, like a pipe or a structure, or you know, you got to fix. If you're touching pavement these days, everyone got to realize if we touch pavement on a road, we have to make sure the curbs and the sidewalks and the handicap accessible are all done while we're repaving. You can't just repave a road. You have to check the curbs and the handicap accessible sidewalks too, which is expensive. So it blossoms out to more than just putting some pavement down, which I think every politician wants to put pavement down.
Now, since the MVH is declining because electrical vehicles,
yeah,
what do the electrical? How much money do the electrical vehicles contribute?
None. None.
So they're paying no gas tax. They're paying no gas tax.
Yeah, but in states like Kentucky, I believe Tennessee, they're charging them anywhere from 3 to 5 cents a kilowatt hour, and other states have kind of tried to figure out how to do that because they don't go to the pump.
Correct.
Well, it's easy to do. All you have to do is ask the electrical vehicle makers when they hook up their car, they know how many kilowatts are going in that car and tell them they got to pay. Because their electricity, even if it's coming from their home or their solar panels or the battery or whatever, they still got to pay. The cars that we have are just like our phones. They are tracking how many kilowatts go into that car, how many kilowatts you use. That's all live data.
Which will be possibly kept by the data center that we're putting in.
It's probably sitting on the data center we're putting in right now.
Is the electrical vehicles addressed in that?
No.
In that legislation?
No.
Why not?
Because they're
on a road.
They're discussing
they got
and they're having difficulty figuring out how to do that without, I guess, making people mad.
Could that be premature legislation then?
No. They have been talking about tracking our miles instead of gallons, and I don't like that one bit. I don't want the government tracking how many miles, because when they track how many miles I go, they're going to track where I go too. Don't tell me they're not. They will. I don't like that one bit. Just have the electric cars pay whatever, 3 cents or 5 cents a kilowatt when they fill up their electric cars wherever they're at, and they gotta pay. It's not that difficult.
That's all I'm saying.
Other states are doing it.
That comment should be included in this then.
Well, I think it's
electrical vehicle.
There was a lot in there. There's a lot in this bill.
I'm just saying, did you address it? I mean,
no, but there's a lot more in this bill that's not just that. So they could have addressed something like that, which they chose not to because there's very few people using electric cars, but that's growing fast, and maybe they don't want to make those people mad because they're all driving on our roads without paying for them. Yeah, and that's not fair. Not fair at all. But this bill, you want to read Bill 1461, again, it's 30-some pages. It talks about toll lanes, and from what I read, they struck out a lot of things that pretty much says, this is my interpretation, if they submit, it's right here, the department shall submit a request to the Federal Highway Administration for a waiver to toll lanes on interstate highways. If a waiver is granted under this section, toll lanes may be established in accordance with this title. I don't think they have to go back and ask. They can toll everything. And they talk about tolling state roads and other roads. This bill is chock full of things that would be very wise to read. I mean, this is like everything in the kitchen sink. And this is coming. They put out a mini guide, which is nice just for the wheel tax. But that's coming up on August 18th. I hope the council, I would hope they say just pause and we're not going to do anything this year. We'll do it next year.
I don't think electrical vehicles will be discussed on the 18th.
No, they will not.
No.
Because they don't seem to have.
They're not part of the agenda.
They don't seem to have the will to charge them per kilowatt. They're using our roads for free. And you know, electric cars are typically 2, sometimes 3 times heavier than any car we drive.
Because of the weight of the
Because of the
batteries.
weight of the battery. What do you think they're doing to the roads?
Yeah.
And that's probably a minimum. And the other states, again, I've always say don't reinvent the wheel. Just go to other states. They've had this for 2, 3, 4 years. California, I think, Tennessee, Kentucky. You know, this Tennessee, Kentucky, really, they're not, you know, we don't think them as big forward socially moving states, but they are. Just go do what they're doing. They've conquered this. And again, go to the internet. It's all available. You can read this stuff. It takes a little while to look up. But
I got an idea. Just if you live in Michigan City and you travel only a few miles, slow your life down, get yourself a bicycle.
well, they're having problems with the bicycles now because the electric bicycles, they go 25 or 30 mile an hour, are causing troubles.
But I'm just saying, if you're within a certain area, or maybe the community could designate a bicycle zone, only bicycle, and you only own a bicycle to be able to ride
But
around
you bring up a good point.
in this specific area.
Vehicle excise tax. One of the items are motor-driven cycles.
But
How do we get the little electric bikes to pay their $7.50 or something?
They probably could tax for that.
But I mean, if we establish the North End TIF district and the Art Zone district, maybe individuals could basically not utilize their cars, sell them, and buy a bicycle and traverse around the northern end of Michigan City on their bicycle. I could ride out to your house on a bicycle if I lived in this new condo.
Your
25 mile
doctor
an
would
hour.
probably tell you could walk out there.
So this is at August
Apple.
18th, and I commend the mayor for doing that on March 14th. You can watch on Alco on YouTube. You can watch, and she had a good chart. She tried to inform everyone what she knew, but that was before this bill was highlighted, and you can't see it here, but there are a lot of strikeouts in this bill. So no one knew what was happening, but this bill is now law. This thing talks about bridges, 20 feet or over, 20 feet or under, who has to pay for them, and this says that the city has, any bridge 20 feet or under, the city has to pay. Bridge, culvert, whatever. That's up to them now to pay. It's not coming from the county cumulative bridge fund, but the big bridges over 20 feet would come out of the county cumulative bridge fund or the major bridge fund, which I believe is Trail Creek. You know, how many bridges are over 20 foot in Michigan City? I couldn't think of any except the Boulevard, Liberty Trail. A couple bridges might be more than 20 feet span.
Who would collect the taxes? License Bureau? Would it appear on your...
That's why we're paying the Indiana fee to collect this and give it back to us. So they're going to scrape off their top
Yeah.
before they give us some of this money back. And again, we just need to slow down, figure out what this is. Maybe we take a hit for a year, see what's going on. Because the legislators are coming back next spring, and maybe they're going to rethink what this. I bet you they are going to rethink what's in here and do some tweaks.
Oh,
We know they'll tweak it. If most communities says, no, we're not doing it, and that goes to their state legislators and their state senators that, wait, this thing wasn't the greatest idea. Maybe we should tweak it next spring and figure out a way to maybe get the electric vehicles to pay some money. Maybe they pay their fair share. But things are coming up, and if we want to get back to it, the data center and money, a business, and I think the community should start doing this, and we should petition our legislators to let us do this, to start saving our money and spend the interest only. Porter County does this with the money they got for the hospital. They do that. They have a fund, a pretty good sized fund, and they typically don't spend the interest on that every year, and it just keeps growing, compounded interest. Before we get to that, how do I know compound interest is working? Because you look at the baby boomers who now have potentially about $70 trillion of assets.
Yeah.
Looks like they work pretty good. And if Michigan City or LaPorte County or City of LaPorte doesn't have that much money. They don't get that much gambling revenue. If they would have saved that money, put it in a compounding interest account, even 2%, I think the Indiana Trust Fund pays 3%. They were paying 5%. 30 years goes by pretty quick. And if Michigan City had saved their dollars, and do my calculations, check me, if they would have saved those dollars from the day that casino started giving us revenue somewhere around 12 million, now we're getting somewhere around 8 million, we would potentially have 300 million in money we'd put in, compounded over 30 years, is about $1.5 billion. 5% of 1.5 billion is what? 75 million?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
$75 million a year.
Yeah.
And interest alone, till the end of time, we would be getting 75 million. Our city budget's what, 50 million? Guess what? No taxes in Michigan City. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Well, it would depend on the interest rates, but yes, if the interest rate is high enough, there would be no tax in Michigan City. Except that's the next thing will happen is they'll find out ways to spend it. But let me get into.
No, I think before that, the next thing that'll happen, and we have to petition our legislators. They'll say, "Oh, Michigan City's got $1.5 billion. I guess we can take their revenue that they were getting for their property taxes. We'll give it to somebody else, or we'll spend it over here." That's not fair either.
Are we ready for the data center?
Yes, data center. There's
Okay.
some money. You had a good idea.
Now, on the data centers, I am obviously very much for it because of the situation that it will do for Michigan City, just in terms of financing. But let me start it out this way. Number one, if anybody would like to go see how it's commencing along, it's being built on the corner of Royal Road and Warkey Road. So if you got a GPS, you can put it in your system. You can go out there and go by it and take a look. This data center is in the high-tech area. Probably some of the information that's kept there will be developed by AI, artificial intelligence. It's an area that we have to start to get into because it is coming along very quickly, and as a result of that, we're going to have to teach people how to do this. 20 years ago, if you went to Purdue University and you walked into an information technology class at the starting level, the prof might say to you, if you just learn this class and walk away, you can do coding and you'll be good for the rest of your life. Probably not a good thought, because basically one of the first things that artificial intelligence is taking over is coding. Basically what's going to happen is you're going to not only have to understand coding, you're going to have to be able to understand what those computer systems that have been bred to handle the analysis, what they're doing and why they're doing it. Those are the people that will be getting the jobs. It is in a very high-tech area.
You have to learn to debug the coding because AI is going to get it wrong.
Yeah, okay. Spoken like a true computer advocate. Now, we have two entities that are heavily involved. Starting out, who currently owns this land and the facility? The land and the facility itself are currently owned by a corporation, let me rephrase that, a limited liability corporation. Normally they use LLC. A Phoenix, Michigan City Investor LLC is the current owner. They are the ones that are doing the development out there. Now, you were told, and we were all told, that there would be no abatements. That's not true. The abatements will not be there for the ultimate user of the entity, but Phoenix does have a couple of abatements. Number one, they have a tax abatement for a vacant building dedication. So if this is a vacant building, and it was when they took it over, they can get a tax abatement for that. They can also get a tax abatement, this would have to be appealed, but they could get one for real property. Now, in terms of the abatements, the only abatement, as I understand it, that once this goes into operation, that will occur will be a sales tax abatement coming from the state of Indiana, not from us, for one place had 35 years and another place had 39 years, take your pick. It's a long time. And I've been asked a couple times, well, what kind of sales do they have? They are selling the information that they put together. As we just talked about it here, one of the things that they may be selling is how many people have electric vehicles in Michigan
City. How many miles they're driving, where they're driving.
Yes, that's the kind of information, and there are a lot of sales in that area. So the state, in their interest in getting these kinds of facilities into Indiana, is giving up that sales tax. The Phoenix investors at the end, and when this facility is finally constructed, they will do one of two things. They will all either sell it to the final individual entities that will own it, or they will probably lease it for a long term. They will have the option of doing one of those two. And I'm sure both sides are going to look at the financial viability of this, and we will make a lot of money for lawyers. because these contracts will be very steep and very long. Oh, that, you haven't even scratched the surface. Now, let's talk about some of the economic benefits. First of all, the way I have read the information that has been put out so far, the economic benefits that I'm going to talk about will be with the civil city. In civil city only, this will not go to other areas like the school system, so on and so forth, the Michigan Township Assessor's Office, the Michigan Township's Trustee's Office, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So, once this entity becomes operational, and that's the whole key, once they become operational and they start to perform, they will get $463,000 per year for 10 years. After that, starting with year 11, they will get $926,000 per year. That's a lot of money. And remember, that's only the civil city part. The way this thing currently reads is the other entities in Michigan Township will receive, first of all, the normal taxes they would have normally gotten, but they will also receive the assessed values rather than getting a stated value per year as the civil city would get if these contracts are adopted. So the school city, because this is a $600 million investment, will get a lot of money just off the additional investment. And they're going to need that money, because this school system has got to start to get into the upper echelons. They've got to get these kids who are behind up to being able to do work at an 11th and 12th grade level when they graduate high school. And right now, I think the last numbers I read, only 30% of the kids who graduated from Michigan City High School, actually it's a little less, were performing both reading and math at a 12th grade level. That has got to change. Okay, some more. They will get $100,000 for the cost of segregating the sewer systems, the sanitary system and the water system from the rainfall. So we will then have segregated sewers as a result of that, and it could probably also be used, although that might not be, depending on how the contract is written, that might not be capable. They're going to probably put in water lines at the same time. We will get the Economic Development Commission. This is EDI. The initial payment will be, once they start operations, $5.5 million for economic development. And a minimum payment for the next several years of $500,000. That would go a long way toward things that Dave and I have occasionally talked about in terms of storm sewers and sanitary sewers in the 3rd Ward. It would also help pick up some of the sanitary sewers and water sewers over, I can't think of the right term, over in the 6th Ward. This is a lot of money that's going to come into the city. Now, the civil city right now, not through the owner of the facility itself, but through the Phoenix investor, now gets, I'm understanding that it's, they already were getting $10,000. Let me amend that. They were getting $11,000 based on the valuation assessed to that property. They have added $10,000, I guess, in additional assessments, so you're talking about $21,000. I'm also told that Dave found a figure that they were possibly getting $22,000.
Initially, the base
Yeah.
was $22,000. The tax base for the 67-acre property.
Maybe those abatements that they got for a vacant building and some other things.
Could be, huh?
Yeah, it made the difference.
But we came within $1,000 of.
But there is a lot of money. Michigan City badly needs this money. The school system badly needs this money, and this needs to be approved. This will do a lot for everybody throughout the city, including the 6th Ward and the people who are going to live near this situation. They may have some decibel problems from time to time with this facility, but they will not be looking at black smoke coming out of the chimneys. They will not be looking at my father and his friends, when they went by Gary, and you got this big, huge orange plume coming out, what did they say? We're working, because they came out of the Depression. This is a facility with the economic investment that they're going to have will be here for a long time. Hopefully, this will be adopted, and I think it will be a real positive for Michigan City for many years. Thank you.
So maybe we should take the money and set aside our casino revenue to start saving it, because 20 years comes pretty quick, or 30 years comes pretty quick, and then we can start spending the interest after we compound our money in Michigan City, so we control our destiny and we're not stuck when the state does something like this to us and says we got to raise taxes, wheel tax, excise tax, income tax. We can say, well, we don't really care because we don't need your money. That would be very wise, and that's what businesses do, and I think that's what. So we're going to get down in a couple minutes, but a quick thing is, I'd like to thank whoever in the city fixed Michigan Boulevard and Hendricks Street. They fixed the 10-second light. Thank you guys. Everyone's happy about that. The light doesn't stay green for 10 seconds. It stays green, I don't know, a minute, minute and a half. Finally, they fixed it.
Just so we don't get not to
Very
hurry,
hurry.
let me give you again the information about
Yes.
where to find out about this apprentice readiness program. For Michigan City, if you live in Michigan City, you want to contact Kyla Ward, K-I-L-A-W-A-R-D, 219-873-1400, 219-873-1400, extension 2018. If you don't live in Michigan City, you want to contact the Northwest Indiana Area Director for the state of Indiana for this program. His name is Emmanuel Turner. His phone number is 219-884-4503, and they're telling Dave that he spent too much time talking somewhere.
No, the results of that legislation on a wheel tax, the information is to be delegated to Purdue University, if you read
Yes,
the back page.
yes.
So Purdue University has a lot of input into what's going on here within the
Yes.
state of Indiana.
They're trying to get their hands around how much money is giving for taxpayers to pavement and how it actually gets done. And that's a commendable.
That is, and it's, again, for future, mining future thought processes to make things work.
And that data will probably go through the data
I
set.
was going to say, Purdue University probably going to buy that from the data set.
There you go. We got to close out. We need more than an hour, but they only give us 1 more minute, so.
Yeah, we're getting down to the last minute. Again, I'm sorry I made my $1 million, $250 million mistake this morning. I'm sorry I made a mistake when this program started because I wasn't with it today. We're just, I just
We all
didn't.
have those
Close us
days.
out.
Yeah. Again, and I guess in closing, gentlemen, nothing? Final remarks? Tourism Bureau, nothing?
Well, if
Go to
we-
the orchards. They're opening up.
Yeah, the orchards are opening up. Get a copy of the Michigan City Laporte Tourist Visitor's Guide. Now, a lot of restaurants have them sitting outside in baskets. Reach in and take one. And the Visitors Bureau in the old Marquette Mall, it's on the east side of the mall. You can walk in, they'll buzz you in, and they'll give you all these copies and a lot of other things if you want to look at it.
I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact Shows Try co-producers Bob Pollock, Dave Bila, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com, Dave at djbila1@hotmail.com, or Tony at email@yahoo.com, or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only staff writer who's on vacation, Sarah Bellum. Showing of our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m., Monday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m., and numerous times throughout the week on Channel 99. You may also enjoy watching rebroadcasts of our program on YouTube at Navigate News and Views. I want to thank everybody for watching, and make it a good day.